Hello, this is Bill Bullard with RCAF USA, the voice of the independent cattle producer in the United States of America. Well, this week RCAF USA has some very important news to share. And you'll recall that RCAF USA has long promised its membership that it would not allow the beef packers to do to the cattle industry what they've already done in both the chicken and the hog industries. In those two industries, the meat packers have captured the entire supply chain, thereby reducing competition as well as reducing opportunities for both current operators and aspiring operators. And so after we had exhausted all other remedies, we've gone to Congress for years. We've gone to the administration, both past and present, urging them to take steps to protect the competitiveness of our markets, but all of our requests have gone unheeded. So today, represented by two national antitrust and securities litigation firms, the first being Scott & Scott, the second being Cafferty Clobes, we have filed a class action lawsuit in federal district court in Chicago on behalf of RCAF USA and 4 cattle feeding ranchers from Iowa, Nebraska, Kansas, and Wyoming. Our lawsuit alleges the nation's 4 largest beef packers violated U.S. antitrust laws, the Packers and Stockyards Act, and the Commodity Exchange Act by unlawfully depressing the prices paid to American ranchers. So the complaint was filed against Tyson, JBS, Cargill, and National Beef. And those 4 packers, collectively purchase and process over 80% of all the United States fed cattle. And our suit alleges that from at least January 1st of 2015 through the present, those big 4 packers conspired to depress the price of fed cattle that they purchased from independent producers, and that inflated their own margins and profits. So the class action lawsuit seeks to recover losses suffered by 2 distinct classes. The first class includes cattle producers who sold fed cattle to any one of the big 4 packers from January 2015 to present. The second class consists of traders who transacted live cattle futures or options contracts on the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, also from January 2015 to present. So the complaint is supported by witness accounts, including a former employee of one of the big 4 packers. It also is supported by trade records and economic evidence. And all of that allows us to allege that the big 4 conspired to artificially depress fed cattle prices through various means. And we identify those means. For example, we allege that the packers collectively reduced their slaughter volumes and the purchases of cattle sold in the cash market in order to back up cattle to create a glut of slaughter weight fed cattle. And then we allege that the meat packers manipulated the cash cattle trade to reduce price competition amongst themselves, including by enforcing an antiquated queuing convention through threats of boycott, and agreeing to conduct substantially all of their trade during a very narrow window of 30 to 60 minutes at the end of the week. We also allege that these 4 packers were engaged in transporting cattle over uneconomically long distances, including from Canada and Mexico, in order to depress fed cattle prices here in the United States. And then we allege that these 4 packers deliberately closed slaughtering plants to ensure the underutilization of available U.S. beef packing capacity. We know intuitively that U.S. cattle producers were damaged substantially by the unprecedented collapse of cattle prices that occurred in 2015. And we also know that after cattle prices collapsed, the retail price that consumers pay for beef continues to remain at near record highs. And so our economic analysis has estimated that the depressed fed cattle prices were depressed on average of 7.9% since January 2015, thus causing significant harm to U.S. farmers and ranchers that raise cattle. And so this is an example of the cattle producers themselves standing up to protect their industry and to recover the damages that have accrued as a result of the unlawful practices of the highly concentrated beef packers. With that, we hope you'll watch this suit, and we hope you have a productive week. Thank you, and goodbye.